Hello, you caught me dancing. I have to give a shout out to John Shoemaker. He makes awesome intros for us. Welcome to our live stream, our Thursday live stream. We're going to be talking about advanced Google Classroom today. I'm Tasha Burke-Peart.
I'm Dana Rubenstein.
And we are technology program specialists with the Department of Ed Tech. We have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to just jump right into our housekeeping. Certain things that we want you to know in the beginning. Number one is that this session is recorded. So if at any time you want to go back and take a look at what we're talking about, all you have to do is hit rewind and you'll be able to view this. And it'll be available directly after the live stream on our YouTube channel. So if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe down below. We're trying to get as many subscribers as we can. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to be notified of future live streams, then hit the bell and you'll get a notification of the live streams that we have planned. We do have a lot that we are planning for this fall to help you. The chat is over there. Please use the chat to communicate. We have moderators with a wrench by their name to answer your questions in the chat. Dana and I come to you from the future. We're about 20 seconds ahead of time. So please use that chat to ask your questions and our moderators will be able to answer them for you. Follow us on Twitter. This is our handle, EdTechPBC. And you can also tag us in your tweets. You can tell that I'm really not a Twitterer because I'm getting my language all mixed up. EdTech, ETPBC. PD. Speaking of Twitter, we have this wonderful thing that was started by coworker John Long, our workshop selfies. So if you don't know what a workshop selfie is, we pretty much want you to take a picture of where you are right now, if you're in school, if you're at home, and tag us. Use hashtag EdTechETPBC PD, that's a mouthful, ETPBC PD, and also tag us at EdTechPBC. So today we're going to be going over a few things with Google Classroom. Now, this is not designed to be a Google Classroom 101 or a how-to. I do want to show you for Google Classroom, if you go to our website, edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. That's edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. Over here, we have under Google Applications, we have a whole page here for Google Classroom. So we have the PD that John Shoemaker did over the summer. We have getting started with Google Classroom that Dana and I did way back in the beginning of our remote learning. We've curated some wonderful videos here, and then there are tons and tons of guides, parent guides, student guides, all this, and these all can be popped out so that you can make a copy for yourself. So any questions that you have of anything that we're going over and you're not quite sure, please be sure to check our website because we have everything there. Daily attendance ideas, it just goes on and on and on, full of information. Because we're going to be going over a few specific things today. Dana's going to talk about adding categories to graded content and also adding rubrics to assignments. I'm going to talk about collaborative assignments and assigning group work in Google Classroom. And also the comment bank. If you haven't used the comment bank, that is an awesome feature of Google Classroom, giving personalized feedback to your students. So we're going to talk about that. And then Dana's going to come back and clarify. Sometimes we have forms and quizzes in Google Classroom and have difficulties finding the responses. So she's going to talk about finding the responses and also returning work to students. Did I miss anything, Dana? We got everything?
You covered it.
Okay. So right now I'm going to go down and I'm going to let Dana take it over so that she can talk about categories and rubrics.
Thank you, Tasha. So here I am in my Google Classroom, and I am on the classwork page. And notice how I already have a few things, well, many things here. I know we're familiar with adding our topics, and we have our assignments and material and questions and items for our students, but you might not be familiar with adding these categories. And what's really nice is that it adds this little tagline so that you can add another.
I'm sorry. Excuse me, Dana, I'm sorry. It's my screen that's being shared, so we need to have your screen shared so we can see what you're doing. I still have my categories and rubrics on here.
Okay. Trent, can you put my screen up?
Yep. Go ahead and there we go.
Okay, so I'll just start that part over, no problem. So here we are in Google Classroom, and I'm on the classwork page. And as I scroll down, added to assignments and assignment quizzes. And what's really useful is that it gives another little tagline for students to be able to identify the purpose of that assignment. So in order to add these categories, you would come up here to the gear on the top right. And when you click on that, you would scroll on down. See grade categories. Now I already have a bunch. If you don't have any, you would click Add Grade Category. And when you do that, you would just type in whatever it is that you want to add. So maybe I want to call this a group project. And then by default, Google will always give it 100 points, but you can change that. So if I wanted to maybe make this worth 25 points, for example, you could. And then you would just continue adding grade categories, as many as you want or as many as you need. And then when you are done, you would click Save. And you can always come back and add more categories as needed. So once that's saved, in order to use the categories, let me go up here to one of my draft assignments, and I'm going to click Edit by clicking on the ellipse. Now this can be added as you edit, or if you begin a new assignment, you can do it there as well. So when I click on Edit, you're familiar with adding the title and the instructions and all of your content, but over on the right where you have your settings, once you have categories established, you will see a drop-down menu. And this is where you can select the category that you want visible for students. So for this particular one, I'm going to call this a group assignment, or it could be a group project. And once we have that, oh, and let me show you actually group project. So notice how I had that set as 25 points. So automatically my assignment turns into 25 points. Whereas if I choose something else, like a group assignment, for example, I had that set as 100. So within those settings, when you save that default value, the assignment will automatically put in the points for you. Once you have your category established, I'm going to go ahead and save my draft again because I'm going to be using this a little bit later to show you something. And then now I have my group assignment right here for students to see. So those categories are really, really important. Remember, they can be added to an assignment, a quiz, or they can be added to a question. It must be something that can be graded. Material will not have that category. So only things that can be graded. Let's take a look at rubrics. Rubrics are a wonderful way for students to know what criteria they will be scored or graded on. And they're very helpful for teachers to easily analyze an assignment and grade quickly. So I'm going to open up an assignment over here that has a rubric already. And as I scroll down, I'm going to open this rubric, and this is what students would see. This particular assignment is worth 100 points. And notice it has a title, it has the criteria, and then I've identified chunks of point values that students can earn. Now, this goes from 50 to 25 to 100. When I go into the grade book, I don't necessarily need to only use these. If a student has maybe something worth 40 points, I'll show you how we can use that as well. But again, it gives criteria for students. This is really helpful so that they know how things are going to be scored. So how do we use a rubric? Well, let's go back to that draft assignment I was looking at earlier, and we're going to edit. Now, a rubric can be added to an assignment and a quiz assignment. Those are the only two things that can take a rubric. So over here, I have a rubric. And when we click on that little plus sign, you have a few choices. You can create a new one, you can reuse, or you can import. Now, quickly, let me show you. I can reuse a rubric. I can even pull down from other Google Classroom classes. And I'm already in my EdTech classroom. So if I wanted to, I could reuse that rock cycle rubric that I just showed you. But in this case, I'm actually going to create a new one because I want to show you how to do it. So I'm going to click on create. And over here, we're going to start with our title, the description, and the point value. So for this particular rubric, I am going to call this one Getting to Know You. And for the criterion description, I'm going to call this one About Yourself, because this particular assignment is for students to add a Google slide to a slide deck to introduce themselves to their classmates. So this one's going to be about themselves. And then for the point value, I'm going to turn this into 5 points. And for the level, I like to do full marks. You can use any kind of verbiage that you want. I typically do full marks, partial marks, and no marks, but again, you can personalize that to what you want. And then for your description, this is where you are going to type what students will be scored on. So I have this ready. I'm just going to paste this in here. And I have that the slide includes one thing you want to share about your new classmates, about yourself. Once I have that ready, notice these little plus signs. So if I wanted to add another level, I would click the plus. And this time I'll make this worth 3 points. And I'll call this one partial marks. And I'm going to paste my description again, and I'm just going to change it a bit. So slide includes things you want to share, or I should say slide does not include. Okay, and let's actually, I'm going to make that into a 0. And instead of partial, we're going to go from 5 to 0. Okay, so slide does not include things you want to share with your new classmates about yourself. And so now I have my items, and I could keep adding the plus sign if I wanted. Now that's just one criteria, but as I scroll down, I can add another one by clicking this plus sign. And for this criteria, I'm going to name this one my favorite activity, which is something that is on the assignment for students to do. And for this one, the description, I have that ready. So let me just go ahead and paste that here. Actually, this would be picture of favorite activity. And then I'm going to come on down and establish my point value. We'll make this one 5. We'll call this one full marks again. And I'm going to paste that description that I had a moment ago. And the slide includes a picture of your favorite activity. And then I can click the plus sign and continue adding more marks. And I'm just doing this one fast so that we can see how it looks. And let's paste that again. And I'm going to change this so slide does not include a picture. Okay, so pretend like that was a nice, robust rubric. If we had more time, I would add more criteria and more levels. But for now, this is fine. So we have this established. And it's very important that you save the rubric. It does not save automatically. And I know in Google, we're so used to things saving on their own. But we do need to come up here on the top right and click Save. As you continue working on this rubric, or as you continue working on future things, you can go to the rubric. And if you needed to, you could click on this ellipse and you can always edit. So I have my rubric established and here it is. So this is a 10-point rubric. And now I need to make sure that my point value on my assignment is the same, which is 10 points. So I have this already. And now I'm going to go ahead and assign this. So it won't be a draft anymore. It will be assigned. And I want to show you how using a rubric helps students and teachers. So now when students go to this assignment, the rubric is right here. Students may click on it. They can see right away how the student will be graded and what needs to be on their assignment to make sure they get the full points. Now, from the teacher side, if I want to view this assignment and take a look at the rubric, let me actually go to one that has something already done. Give me just a second. Since I was just posting that, there's no work there quite yet. So let me open this one. This one has a rubric, and we already have some team members who have completed this assignment. So now I have my student work, and I can see that a few of my colleagues have turned in this assignment. So when I click on Trents, for example, notice how over here we can grade. And as I scroll down, here's the rubric. So as I open this little caret, if I wanted to give full marks, because I can see that Trent worked really, really hard on this assignment, I can just click right here and that's done. And in 2 seconds, I've graded that particular criteria. And as I scroll down, I can go to my next criteria. I can open it up. And for example, let's say that Trent didn't quite get the 25 points and he's not at 13 points either. I can, rather than just clicking on one of these, I can put in my own number. I want to give him 20 points for that particular item. And then as I scroll down, I can go and click and establish the rest of my grades. And then voila, I have graded this assignment using the rubric, which makes it consistent and objective for all of my students. And it truly is such a nice feature to use. I highly suggest it. Once you create a rubric, you can use it not only for future assignments in this course, but in any of your Google Classroom courses. All right, Tasha, I'm going to turn it back over to you for collaborative assignments.
Okay, thank you. And actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip-flop and I'm going to work on the comment bank first. And the reason why I'm going to do comment bank first is because Dana showed you how easy it is to attach that rubric to the assignment and also how to grade the assignment. But there was a feature right underneath there. I don't know if you caught it for private comments. And then there was also a hidden little comment bank. So we're going to go to talk about that just because it fit right in line. So I'm going to go back to the same example, the describe the rock cycle. And one thing I just wanted to point out too, everything is hyperlinked here in Google Classroom. So that's another thing that kind of gets people confused sometimes. I could easily click on this, but it's only going to show me the students that turned in the assignment. I'm not going to get a full picture of the entire class. If I go down to the bottom, view assignment, then I can see everyone. So I'm able to see who turned in the assignment and who has missing work. So let's go back into Trent's work right here. The description was to include all these things in his essay. And Trent so eloquently wrote, big rocks get turned into baby rocks because water and wind. So there might be some things that I want to comment to Trent about his essay. So we're going to talk about comment banks. Right here, this little icon for comment is where you get the comment bank. Now we have a few things that are populated in our comment bank already, and that was simply by adding to the bank. So if there are things that you know that you want to add that you're going to be using frequently, you can by all means just go ahead and put those into the comment bank. So let's just say, I'm just going to say, stay on topic. You could do that. If you have more than one, you can just start a new line. Let's say, don't forget to capitalize. I would pick a word, capitalize. I can't spell. All right. So we're going to add those there. And what happens when you do that is that all of your comments are added to this comment bank right here. And you can always at any time copy it to a clipboard if you need to, or edit it or delete the comment because they're stored over here. So let's say I wanted to comment something on Trent's paper. Big rocks get turned into baby rocks because of water and wind. And let's just say I want him to elaborate on this a little bit more. I'm going to highlight in the same, because you're in a Google Doc, when you highlight, you get the little comment feature here. And the wonderful thing about a comment bank is that you can just do hashtag and it will pick up all the comments that you have in your comment bank. And I'll put, add more details and add that comment. So he'll be able to see the comment that I put on his paper. Now, the other thing that you can do I'm going to take the comment off and I'm going to go back to where you have the rubric, where Dana had created the rubric. At the very bottom, I can also add private comments. I can also, Trent, can you redo your assignment? All right, I can do that private comment, send it to him, and then so he will get this comment as well as this comment on the work. So this is one really good thing that you can do to make sure that you're giving that personalized feedback to your students. And to continue on, since you're in this actual example, you can continue. And now I'm on John's, and because he turned it in, I already put some comments on there. Again, highlight, do the hashtag, put the comment in there. If there was a comment that you needed to put and it's not in there, you certainly can just go ahead and write that in here. Are you sure? And then comment. And with the 3 dots right here, it's going to give you an option to add that comment into the comment bank. So whatever comments that you give to students or on their work, you can also add it to the comment bank so that you're not continuing to write the same thing over and over. So that is, in a nutshell, the comment bank. It rests right here in this little icon. You can add to the bank, you can delete. Hashtag will allow you to search for your comments that you already have in the comment bank. And then I also learned one other little trick that I want to show you. Hopefully this will work out right. If I wanted to add a comment and have something bold, you can put it in, and I never know the correct word to say these little stars here, but if you put this in front and in back and then add it to the comment bank, I'm gonna go, let's get rid of these so let's not get confused. I'm gonna go and highlight, I want to comment, hashtag, and I'm going to find the, it didn't show up, but let's do the this is bold. I'm going to copy it. And you see how it bolds the word right there. So if there's something you wanted to add an emphasis to, you know, you're able to do that so that they really know what you're trying to say. So if you have any questions about the comment bank, please feel free to drop it in the chat. We do have moderators in the chat who can help us field those questions. I'm going to go ahead right now and talk about group work. So with collaborative assignments, with scheduling group work, in the slide deck, we put a couple of things that we've curated. The first is a video from Common Sense Media. Now, this video was done last year, so the interface for Google Classroom looks a little bit different than the one that's in the video, but I really like it because it explains in detail how to schedule or how to create assignments for groups of students. I'm going to walk you through it, but we wanted to make sure that you had this as well. And then the other tidbit that we put here is just a slide on how to help your students manage their roles within groups. Because when you are scheduling group work, and if it's a collaborative project, they should designate a leader who's the person that's actually going to open up the Google Slides and who's going to share it, who's going to make sure that it is turned in so that you're not getting duplicates of that particular slide. Just make sure everybody's name is on here. So this is a handy guide that'll help you when scheduling group work. But I'm going to go back to our EdTech classroom here. And in classwork, I have a draft post, which I just started. And I took the directions from the rock cycle and said, well, let's say we want to make this a group collaborative research project. I want to put my students together so that they can be creative in explaining the rock cycle. So my description is here. Over here on this side, for all students, you can deselect that and actually pick which students that you want to have this assignment. So it's a good practice. It's a good practice when you're titling your assignments to make sure that you're labeling them. So Group A knows that they're going to get this, so they're the only students who will receive this direction. Another best practice is this is going to be a Google slide. So the students can actually create it on their own. I didn't need to give them a template of a Google slide because I'm giving them the ability to create their own slide and to be creative. So all they know is that the platform that they're using is going to be Google Slides. However, I want to make sure that each student has an opportunity to participate in this group. So the assignment that's going to make a copy for each one of them is the reflection piece. And in this reflection piece, we're asking what was their role, describe what they did to complete the project, and what did you like and what was better. So this gives each student in the group an opportunity to reflect on how this entire process worked for them. So again, you're going to go over to where the students are. You can deselect because it's automatically on all students. Select the students that you want to get this particular assignment. And then you can continue and copy this assignment for other groups so that they will be able to have this assignment on their Google Classroom dashboard as well. So I've talked about collaborative assignments. This slide deck will be on our website where you'll have an opportunity to take a look at the video, which is more of a how-to on assigning group work. And this is more of a guide to teaching students how to collaborate in group work. We've also talked about the comment bank, using the hashtag to search, adding frequently used comments to the bank. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Dana, who's going to talk about finding quizzes and finding the quiz and form responses.
Thank you, Tasha. I'm so excited about that group work. I think I want to complete that assignment. So here we are back in Google Classroom. I'm sorry, the classwork page. And we get a lot of questions from teachers who have put a Google quiz assignment in Classroom and then have trouble finding the responses. So we're going to walk you through how to find them. So to demonstrate that, when you add your Google form as a quiz, you're going to click on the Create button. It would be a quiz assignment. And then over here, you would put in your title. You would type in your directions. And automatically, because I've identified this as a quiz assignment, Google produces a blank quiz for me. Now, I can use this if I want to create my quiz right here on the spot. In this case, I've already created my form, so I'm going to click on Add and show you how, if you already have a pre-created form, you may add that as well. So we're going to go into Google Drive. And then once this loads, I am going to find my solar system quiz. This is a really handy tool if you already have forms that you created from a previous time. Okay, so and I'm going to click on Insert. Now, I don't need this blank quiz anymore, so I'm going to get rid of that by clicking the X, and here we have the one that I want to share with my students. Notice how by default, Google has already tagged this to import the grade, so you probably want to leave that alone. And in terms of locking the Chromebooks down, that only works on managed devices at school. So if you have students that are still working from home, distance learning, you're going to turn that off for now. Once everyone is back to brick and mortar, you can certainly turn that on if you want to. So here we have a quiz that's been added. And over here, you can determine your settings, what class, your students. I showed you previously about those categories. So let's go ahead and turn this into a test or a quiz. I can add a due date, and I can go through and continue on through all of those settings. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in my topic of the solar system, because that is a very good best practice to follow by identifying the topics and putting your material in there. Now, here's that rubric. So if you wanted to, you could add a rubric to this, but in this case, we're not going to. So once this is all ready, going to assign it. And that's how you would actually add the quiz assignment to your Google Classroom. Now, once students have gone to that quiz and they have taken the quiz, let me show you how you can find the results, because that's where it gets a little bit challenging. So here's a quiz that I've already shared with our students, my colleagues in our class, and some of them have taken this. So I'm going to view the assignment, and this takes us to the grades. Now, notice how I don't actually see any of the responses here. I'm in Google Classroom. In order to see the responses for this form or quiz, I need to go to the quiz. I need to actually go to it. So I'm going to click on the quiz, and as the teacher, I can go to edit mode by clicking on this little pencil on the bottom right corner. And that will take me to where I can see the responses. And this is where we need to go. So by clicking on the responses, I can see I have 7 responses so far. I can do a class summary. And as I scroll down, I can see all of the cumulative responses from the class. I can view by question, and I can scroll through and see the questions, or there's a drop down. And I can also view by the individual. So if I wanted to, for example, go to John Long's, I could see his responses for this particular quiz. You can also open the responses in a spreadsheet. So by clicking on this little icon, now I've already established the spreadsheet, but if you click that little icon for the first time, you will receive a message asking if you want to create a spreadsheet. And in that case, you would go ahead and create, and then you would have your responses in the spreadsheet that you can view as well. So going back here to this, to these responses, the particular quiz, let me just show you these questions for a second. Depending on how your quiz is created, if your quiz has all of the questions that have an answer, so for example, in this particular one, I have already told Google what the correct answer is. But I also have some questions that are open-ended because I want to see what the students are describing here. So for anything that's open-ended, the teacher needs to score those responses, and then everything else Google will score for you. So I know on this particular quiz that question 3 has an open-ended response. So as I scroll down, I can see this response. I can go ahead and give this a point value, and then I can come down and I can give this one a point value, and I can come down and I can keep on going on and on and on, and I can score those. I also know that question 5 is open-ended as well. So as I go to question 5, let me go ahead and leave that, and I can do the same thing down here. So again, the open-ended responses, the teacher still needs to go in and give a point value. Once that's all done, we can save, and now the quiz has been scored. So when I go back to Google Classroom, I can see the scores. Now, the next thing that I need to do is import the grades, and this will import the grades of the ones I've scored. So that'll just take a second, and I can see here that John, out of 35 points, perhaps I didn't get to his particular answer, so I don't know if his is actually scored. I would need to go back in and find his, and let's see here. Looks like I did not score everything quite yet, so we'll give him some points right here. And okay, we're going to save that. And then I need to release the score so that John can see what he earned on that particular quiz. And then as I go back to my Google Classroom and I import, that should do it. So when you're using a Google form as a quiz, remember, in order to see your results, you have to click on the actual form. You have to go to the little pencil on the bottom and then view the responses, because that is how you will be able to see what the students have earned. Now, another question that we get along the same lines of looking at responses and grading is, how do I return work to students? So I'm going to go to a different assignment, and let me go back to this, describe the rock cycle. And for this particular assignment, there's 2 ways that you can return work. So we were looking at Trent's earlier, and Tasha added some comments. And here we have the rubric that I was using to score. And now I would like to return this to Trent so that he has ownership of this document and he can continue working on it if needed, and that he can also see what's going on. So in order to do that, I can do it in two places. I can return it right here from where I'm grading by clicking on return, or I can come over here, and if I wanted to click on a student, if I only want to return Trent's, I can just click on his name and give a little check mark and return. Or if I have graded maybe a few, I can return. Or if I've graded all students that are ready to be returned, I can do that. And then I can click return. And once the teacher has returned the work, then it gives ownership back to the student, and the student can continue working on it if any edits are made. So again, let me go ahead and return this to Trent. He will be notified. Trent, you did great. You got a 95%. It will be returned. And then when I go back to the gradebook within Classroom, I can see it's right here. So those are the two ways that we can return work, either right here from the student work or from the grading platform. It's also nice because I can see within here that I have a few students that are missing. And then because Trent's has been graded and returned, notice that it populated to the bottom. As you're looking through here, you can also sort students by first name or last name or by status. Personally, I like to do it by status. I like to sort the ones that are turned in on top so I know the ones I need to grade. And as I'm grading, by the way, I believe Tasha showed you this, you can click the little arrows and you can continue grading. As I know John Long has turned in, I can use that rubric, I can grade and return it back to him as soon as that's done. All right, so that's how you can view your responses from a Google form, which is a quiz, and how you can return work and assignments back to your students. Tasha, I'm not looking at the chat. Is there anything that we need to address before we wrap up?
No, I think we're good. And we can head on to the outro.
Okay, excellent. All right, so as the school year and the face-to-face begins on Monday, we are here to support you every day, as always. Our office hours and live streams are moving to new times and days because we recognize that this time right now, which is 11:30, is not ideal now that you're back doing your teaching. So starting next week, our office hours will be on Tuesdays at 2:30 p.m. We hope that you can join us. You can come in, you can ask your questions. We will share our screens and we will walk you through whatever it is that you need support with. Our live streams are also moving to Wednesdays and Thursdays in the afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m. We have a plethora of topics, and you can find all of the topics on our calendar, which is located on our website at edtechtraining.palmbeachschools.org. You definitely want to bookmark that website because we have a ton of resources. All of our live streams back since March have been recorded. We have pages for all of the topics with getting started guides and tutorials and so much content to help you get started with different applications and to continue your learning as you begin to implement some of these applications as we continue the school year. So we are so happy that you joined us today. And if you're watching the recorded version, we hope that this was helpful for you as well. And on behalf of the Educational Technology Department, we want to thank you for all of the hard work that you are doing for all of our students. And we know it's been a very difficult few months, and we appreciate everything that you've been doing. And Tasha, I'm going to hand it back to you to wrap it up.
You pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. We appreciate you and we're here for you. So please reach out and send us those emails if you have questions. We love being there to assist.